Hi everyone, here's another slide of the spleen. Again, we're looking at a section through a fairly large organ. We're looking at a capsule on this end here. And on the other side of this slide, make sure that this is somewhat focused. On the side here, again, we're seeing a capsule. And this end here is just cut. Same goes for this, so this is just a cut off part of the spleen here. Okay, but we have a capsule on top and bottom in this case in this slide. And what you're seeing in the interior is lots and lots of very basophilic staining. So what you're seeing here is a lot of the white pulp. You notice a lot of these nodules are secondary nodules, and they will show in the outer regions, usually, a blood vessel passing through. Again, this is very typical splenic nodules. Okay, some of the cases you'll actually see multiple blood vessels passing through some of these. Okay, so that's not uncommon. Right there is another blood vessel. Right there, another blood vessel. Another blood vessel here. And probably here as well. There's another blood vessel in here, and so on. So wherever you look on this slide, you're going to see lots of white pulp with clearly visible arterioles showing up. Okay. Now, in this region here is where we see lots of red pulp. Now, the blood in this case is staining a little bit more of a darker orange to brown color, and so that's what you're seeing here. Again, wherever you're seeing this kind of a brownish color, that's where you're seeing red blood cells. That is the red pulp. Okay, so let's zoom in on this. So this is the 40x lens. Let's go to 100x. Sorry, not lens, 40x magnification. So again, we're seeing here some splenic nodules, and there is a central artery right there. It's called a central artery because it's in the center of the periarterial lymphatic sheath. But when it comes to passing through the nodules, they're not central themselves. They're actually in the periphery of the nodules. So the name central arteriole is kind of an odd one. But again, I didn't make up this nomenclature. Here's another arteriole right there, passing through another nodule. Again, here's more arterioles through the PALS. Here's another arteriole right there. There's another one right there. So again, wherever you're looking at one of these nodules, you're going to see at least one, if not more, of these arterioles passing through these splenic nodules. Okay, so that's the white pulp again. Again, so it's very basophilic because we have lots and lots of lymphocytes here. Here's a trabecular blood vessel. Based on size, I'll probably say this is a vein. This is also likely to be a trabecular vein. I think there's a trabecular artery over here. Probably here as well. Okay. And this region is where we would see, or where we do see, a red pulp. Some of this kind of more dark, sort of densely staining material, those are still parts of the trabeculae, so you see that converging into the interior. But again, out here, that's the red pulp. So let's kind of zoom in on that, go to 400x. And so here we see, still within a trabecula, we have a blood vessel. We're seeing a longitudinal section through this blood vessel here, inside of a trabecula. Okay, the fact that it's surrounded mostly by red pulp tells me it's probably a vein or venule collecting all of this. And again, this is the red pulp itself. Lots of blood spilled out into these larger sized capillaries. So again, right there, you can see lots of red blood cells in one area. Not a lot of nucleated cells, so that's the interior of a blood vessel. It's one of those sinusoids. So remember, sinusoids have a discontinuous endothelium, discontinuous basement membrane, and they have a very wide lumen. That's what you're seeing here. And again, because they are discontinuous, they're able to allow the cells to exit. So that's why you're seeing a lot of red blood cells in here, in between these nucleated cells as well. So again, this would be one of the cords. This would be a sinus. Again, this would be likely a sinus again. And again, of course, splenic cords would be here, for example. Okay. Let's see if we can get a little bit more detail at higher magnification. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but let's take a look at some of these again. For example, here, looks a bit more granular, more clearly visible cells. Let's zoom in on this area. Okay, just increase the contrast a bit. Here we go. So again, you can see red blood cells. And again, lots of red blood cells spilled in between all these nucleated cells. Again, these are the cords. Okay, these are cells that are part of the walls. These are the cells that are cleaning up the blood, and then there are areas that are a little bit larger and have more of these red blood cells in them. Those would be the sinuses. Okay, so sinuses, and in here, cords. Okay, and again, another sinus over here. And again, some cords. Okay, so you're seeing lots of nucleated cells. These will be things like macrophages and so on that would be there to clean up the contents of the bloodstream. And again, those would be found within the cords, not within the bloodstream. And so all these red blood cells have to be able to interact with them directly. And so that's what's happening in this area right here. Okay? Hopefully this has been helpful.